In this video, I'm gonna kind of show you guys how I play Spy in Team Fortress 2 and how I am usually successful when I go for backstabs. So this first clip, I go up to the soldier, I successfully backstab him, and then I backstab the pyro along with this pyro. And to do this, first you need some luck, but you also need good timing. And I'm using the Eternal Reward, which has good and bad aspects to it. So let's just start off with the bad. When you turn into a different character, you kind of use all your cloak. So this is why I recommend turning into the other character and going invisible immediately at the beginning, because then your cloak bar doesn't change. The good thing is that when you backstab someone successfully with the Eternal Reward, you make no noise when you backstab, and you also turn into that character that you just backstabbed. In this video, I proceed to backstab two pyros, which is easy if you know how to get behind them and if they turn their back. So sometimes it's just about letting the enemy give themselves to you, but other times, like when this medic spots me, you kind of have to throw them off. So I change it to demo, and then I go like probably the different side that the medic would be going, just so I can confuse them. And then after that, all I'm doing is looking for these little ammo crates for invisibility, because honestly, I think that is one of the most important aspects of being a spy. And in this clip, I am not successful because I just panic stab, so don't do that. Don't keep trying to go after the enemy after you fail your backstab once. Turn to your primary weapon, which is the revolver, and that is usually a safe bet if you can't backstab. Also, keep your distance when you are not invisible and when you turn invisible or disguise yourself, because sometimes enemies can hear you like when you come visible. So just be careful of that. Like when I backstabbed that first soldier, and the second one was just luck. And usually when I'm playing, you can just see my strategy as a spy. For me at least, it works when I throw people off by going the other way, or I actually turn my back to them so that they don't think that I'm a spy, because you know how spies always look at their enemies. That's one thing that you should not do. You can get away with spawn killing too, and with a sniper with a shield. If okay, so for the shield thing, for me it works when I backstab them at a different angle. Like it's not perfectly to their back, and that's usually what works then. But you can also spawn kill or spawn stab an enemy if you're using the Eternal Reward, because again, it makes no noise, so enemies usually wouldn't be too suspicious of you. And heavies are just easy targets, so that's probably self-explanatory. But sometimes I'm unlucky, because if I backstab someone like this heavy, my hitbox is really big, but luckily I got saved by this soldier emoting. So that was when two spies collide, so that kind of worked out. If it was a scout, I would have been screwed, but luckily it was a spy in disguise, and somehow I killed that spy because I went around the other way just to throw him off by not going forward. Now, in general, I think that 2 Fort is kind of a difficult map for spies because many hallways are very narrow, so it's always easy to get bumped into other people. But if you know how to play right and just try to not make as much noise, you are usually successful, but not all the time, as you can see. One thing that you can always use to your advantage is oblivious enemies. Enemies that don't spy check and they don't turn around as much. They're very easy to backstab, like we'll see in this clip. You can get away with these things in 2 Fort if you know how to camp without being detected by a pyro, but I did successfully backstab that medic, but you still die sometimes because pyros are probably the spy's worst enemy. in my opinion, one of the best combos in TF2 for the spy is using your Eternal Reward with the Lead Ranger, because the revolver, although it's slightly worse in terms of damage, it's better because it gives you a longer cloak period, so it makes up for the cloak penalty you get with the Eternal Reward. If you have difficulty switching from your knife to your revolver, which is usually me, unfortunately, but if you can't do it like fast enough, like when I fail a backstab, you should crouch while stabbing. Like for example, when I'm crouch and stabbing this sniper, it's a lot easier to not get hit because players don't expect it sometimes, and usually they're focusing on the mid level of their vision instead of the lower half. So this is a good example of when you know how to properly switch to your revolver, like I did in this clip, because I was figured out by this engineer and he kind of noticed where I was. So if you know how to flick shot properly, you can get away with using a revolver like I did, but it might be a little bit more difficult with the Lead Ranger because it has slightly less damage output. So for this, I camped a little bit in the corner so the enemies won't see me, and then I backstabbed the medic first, which is what you should usually do, and then I backstabbed the two other enemies, which turned me into a heavy, and with the Eternal Reward, as I said, it switches you to that enemy, so it's not as noticeable, and also, if you're a heavy, people don't really associate you with a spy because they know that spies don't like using the heavy because he's big and clunky and slow, which sometimes can give you an advantage if you know what you're doing. And for this clip, there's a demo that notices I'm a spy, but you can still manage to get around to the enemy's back, like what I did, is if you can turn and then the enemy turns and you turn back very quickly when they're not predicting, then you can backstab them. And the reason why this works is because Valve's player models, the hitboxes come first before the models do, which gives you an advantage when an enemy is turning. So overall, I hope you guys learned something today about how to play spy successfully most of the time, and I hope you enjoyed the footage, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.